Back with our next public investment plan e-filing and document management system, DMS. We have criminal court clerk Howard Gentry here, who will have, if you want to, you can introduce the folks you brought. He'll have 7 minutes, and then we'll have 7 minutes for questions. I did just want to take a quick shout out to Councilman Russ Pulley, who is behind me, and I know that you have some elected officials sitting next to you. We've got Ricky Rooker and David Smith, and we are happy that they are here, so I will turn it over to you, please.
All right, and the introductions will come in lieu of time as the presentations made. But
Perfect.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing us to convene today. And as you heard earlier, criminal justice reform is not just arresting and getting people out of jail. It involves a lot more, as Dawn Diener impressed upon us, and we're just going to be an extension of that taking place. We want to again thank you, and we want to thank the two clerks, Ricky Rooker and David Smith, for joining in this endeavor. And thank you for allowing me and Alfred to convene this. I would also like to thank JIS under the direction of Natalie Steers, who is sitting there, for always doing a great job of providing technology support to the Criminal Justice Agency. Our PIP, or our PIP application, is twofold. We have a request for e-filing system and also for a document management system. And now I'm going to ask the Chief Clerk for the Criminal Court Clerk's Office, Alfred DeGraff-and-Reed, to come and present. And when we finish, all of us will be in answering mode for your questions, and we'll just pass the mic around.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Let me begin with the problem. We have a paper problem and we have a storage problem. We're drowning in a sea of paper. We're outgrowing our storage facilities, lagging behind in court technology that is used by our peer cities. When I say paper, I mean paper. This file folder is just an example of the paper that we maintain in our offices. There's many more of those where it comes from. Paper is expensive to store, protect, and retrieve. Paper can be misplaced and there's no backup. There are complexities associated with being the custodian of record for a court. Court clerks are required to maintain, track, and locate files throughout the entire court process, as well as retrieving the files upon completion of court. There are 95 counties in Tennessee, and Davidson County exceeds 93 other counties in our volume. Join me as I paint this picture. Our three departments work hand in hand with 26 judges, 8 magistrates, 3 night commissioners, and in calendar year 2015, the Criminal Court Clerk's Office had over 97,000 filings. The Juvenile Court Clerk's Office had over 32,000 filings, and the Circuit Court Clerk had over 544,000 filings in circuit sessions and probate. Now that's a total of 674,155. That's a ton of filings, and that's just for 1 year. So who touches these files? These files are touched by many people, including the lawyers, the judges, the private bar, the district attorneys, public defenders, judicial officers, clerks, the media, bondsmen, and the public. In the clerk's offices, records are subject to open records requests, so if someone requests to see our records, whether it's the media or a private citizen, we have to turn those over to them for review. Therefore, it's paramount that we protect those documents from destruction by an intentional act or by a natural disaster. As proof of this contention, the Juvenile Court Clerk's Office spent over $1.1 million in document restoration for 25% of their files that were damaged during the 2010 flood. Now let me put this in perspective. That's one clerk spent over $1.1 million for 25% of their files that were housed in their location. Now that amount almost exceeds our request on this PIP application. The Tennessee Supreme Court and the AOC now allow for electronic filing of cases. That's why we're here. There's a need for this in Davidson County. E-filing will allow parties to submit documents via a web-based system instead of delivering papers to manually to the clerk's offices. It's going to save time and money for the lawyers, litigants, and the judiciary. In addition, e-filing is also used in the federal court system, so we want to be as closely, we want to be just like the federal courts that have this. Now, in Tennessee, only Shelby County and Circuit and Chancery courts have e-filing in place. And Nashville's been a leader in court technology for over the last 20 years, and we want to continue that trend. Now, the benefits of uniformity between the three court clerk clerk's offices. Documents and records will be more secure. We will save file storage space in offices, archives, and at our Metro Southeast location. We'll reduce waiting times at the counter. Office supply levels will be trimmed, and there will be 24/7 access to filings for the judges so they can prepare for the dockets more efficiently. To the citizens, the members of the bar and the pro se litigants will have the opportunity to electronically file in criminal, circuit, and juvenile courts, 24/7 access to files and documents, and access court services from the comfort of their home. This will also reduce downtown traffic, gas mileage, and parking fees. Now, just to bring this full circle, once the file's in the electronic format, there's a need to manage the flow of those documents, and that's what we call the document management system. That will improve the entire criminal justice system, as well as how the public receives information from the courts. The criminal justice agencies in Davidson County work together very well, and that's because we have a completely integrated system. And it's important to note that at least 4 other metro departments depend upon us routing paperwork correctly. So the document management system would streamline this process and electronically route the documents to the appropriate parties. And also GIS will integrate the e-file in the document management system, so that would save on costs, and that will also enable data to flow from these systems directly to the respective case management systems. In conclusion, in 2012, Nashville was listed as the 25th largest city. Now, Tracy Cartwright in the Circuit Court Clerk's Office did some research, and of the 25 major cities that were listed, 21 of them have already implemented e-filing. 2 of them currently have a pilot program on e-filing, which is Boston and Charlotte, and 1 is in the planning stages for e-filing, which is Indianapolis. The e-filing system and the document management system will directly enhance our offices of the court clerks, Davidson County criminal justice agencies, the members of the Nashville and the Tennessee Bar, and last but not least, the general public. So at this time, that concludes my presentation. Make sure we'll open it up for questions.
Alfred, thank you.
Oh, where's my applause? We just
I do feel like, because everybody else got introduced, you should take a moment and go ahead and introduce.
Okay, well, we
Julius.
have Julius Sloss here, who is the Chief Deputy at the Juvenile Court Clerk's Office.
Great, thank you. Questions, panel?
I want to be sure I understand. Is this a software you're going to license, purchase, or build? I couldn't tell, and I wanted to make sure I understood which it is, because there are different risks with each answer.
Sure, and I think it's very, I'm sorry, I'm Natalie Steers with GIS. I think it's very early on to see exactly how we would approach this. We are able to build it in-house, and we've done that. I think the most cost-effective approach is the approach that we would take, which may be a combination of both. I think one thing that we have all talked about is that GIS would actually do the integration piece, which is a very costly portion, or would be a very costly portion, because that would take a lot of hours to sit down and figure out how to do this. And we're already acquainted with all the data elements, so that would greatly reduce the prices, as Alfred said. But in answer to your question, it may end up being a hybrid.
Are there systems on the market you could lease?
Yes, there are. Yes, there are.
Do we know what those are, and is there a number out there for what those lease costs are?
Yes, and I think that this PIP is based upon research of those types of those costs, utilizing GIS to integrate it. So I think that is a pretty close cost, judging from what is available. And there are vendors out there. There are 2 right now that are. There are 2 that we would be able to use.
What kind of cost savings will you realize because you're going to be doing this and not the old way?
I did not put her up to that.
But you know what? In preparing, we knew that you'd ask that question, and we didn't know who would ask, but we kind of predicted it would be somebody else. But the fact is that there will be significant cost savings, but we decided that we were not going to answer that in a dollar amount because there's so many other factors involved. The fact that lawyers don't have to come downtown anymore. They don't have to come into our different offices. The fact is that our documents that sometimes we have to do triplicate copies of now don't have to be copied at all. Two departments might need the same files, but they don't have to worry with files anymore. We have just storerooms and storerooms of files already that are costing us once we get into e-filing.
Do we reduce that?
Yes.
So are you looking at a point in time where you go forward, but is there also now a going back?
Well, we would have to go back, and they've already done it, but Ricky would have to go back.
So you guys have already done it?
Yeah, they have.
Oh, so, okay.
We would have to go back. We would have to go back to 1840s.
So you would?
Yes, yes.
So how many documents are you carrying that, because you guys have probably seen some cost reductions because you guys have already done this.
We've already done it there, but we have imaged the files, but the Public Records Commission has not allowed us to destroy the files.
I see, got it.
So we still have to keep both forms. Now when we scan a document, it's just much easier to retrieve than going to the archive. But all we would have to do would be gain permission from the Public Records Commission to destroy those files, and we are in the process of doing that now.
And does the Public Election or the Records Commission at the moment recognize that if we move to this system, that we will not have to maintain two pieces? We won't have to maintain a paper copy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Can you just recap for me the ask, the total amount, and is it all capital, or is there some operating component? I'm looking at this support, and I'm unclear on this. What's the total ask?
The total ask is 1.25. And this also represents all three departments, which, Mr. Rooker's department has a lot more divisions than we do. So the cost is based off of each of the three departments individually. So it's $750,000 for the criminal court clerks and the juvenile court clerks, and about $500,000 for Mr. Rooker's office.
Okay, so we're asking for capital.
Is that all capital?
All capital.
All capital.
And maintenance.
And that's just a projection because you don't know if you're going to build it, you don't know if you're going to buy it, but is that right?
Well, it's based on buy.
This is based on buy.
Yes, ma'am. There are only two companies at this point that the Administrative Office of the Court and the Supreme Court have certified to do this, and we'll be in talks with both of those companies to see which one we would want to go with.
How does Metro IT play in this?
Metro IT, I think we partner in them from a perspective naturally of being on their network, utilizing their data center, all the equipment is housed there. From the software perspective, I think this is a purchase or a I'm sorry, I was looking at, right, exactly. It wouldn't necessitate any involvement from them from a
So Metro IT is not going to come and ask me for some money too for this?
No, I don't, no.
Okay.
The Chancery Court is already, Chancery Clerk and Masters. The Clerk and Master's office has already started this process. They're in the process now of implementing.
Okay. Panelists?
Is the annual fee, is it a per seat, per user in each area, or is it a single fee for each court?
It would be a percentage of the cost of the system. So however much you pay for it, I think it's 20% per year of that purchase cost.
And we'll collect that from our fees that we take in on each file.
Okay, so that's part of your vendor contract with who you purchased this from?
Yes, sir.
It's the ongoing maintenance. Okay, just want to make sure.
Thank you.
And I know it. Okay.
We appreciate you. And we'll clap for you.